Hi, this is BZ Rieger, and I'm doing a rambling by the river. I'm by the North Fork of the Stillaguamish River, and it's July 23rd, Tuesday? That's a good sign. Actually, a few hours off, and I have no idea what time of day it is. So, I was nudged to do a rambling on the, I guess what I formulated to call it was the never-ending precursor. You know, insert something in quotes. I just want, when this happens, if only, when I get this, when they do that, you get the idea. That's the never-ending precursor to holding us back, to stopping us from getting what we want, from keeping us down, from thwarting us, from being in our way. And, sometimes clearly we think of or position or language that precursor as being, completely out there, nothing to do with us, all out there. A lot of times it's maybe some of both, and it is, we give voice to it that it's some of us doing that, so I don't have this, I need that, kind of a thing. And we were taking a lovely walk, and we were watching the whole variety of birds here, a couple different species of swallows and some other little songbirds. I'm not quite sure the variety of them. A couple water catchers. They sit on the rocks and they'll creep down and watch the water and catch stuff out of them. And it was, I watched them skim along the water or watch the water from the rocks and the shoreline, or I don't know if you can see it, there's a dead tree down over there, and there's lots of little branches, and they sit on the branch limbs watching the water. And I was having the thought of reading the waters, and reading the waters of your own energy right now, of the energies that we swim in, that are coursing through us. The times and the developments and the energies that are unfolding of the false construct breaking down. And as I was watching the different birds and how they were reading the water, how they were navigating the waters and seeing the different turns and eddies and stuff, and that would change their flight pattern, or how they would dive for something, or how they might catch a bug that flew up on a current. When the water changed, it changed the current of the air, and that changed the trajectory of the bug which the bird was eating. And interestingly enough, maybe because I was in mid-nudge of doing a rambling by the river, but I was thinking, of Washington, D.C.'s, the river and the waters, and how everybody of every energetic vibration is reading those waters. Some consciously, some not at all consciously. And you could extrapolate that out and, reading the waters of the whole political system on the globe, the whole false construct system on the globe. And maybe another way to say it too is of people reading the waters of of ascension and the changes and the super heightened energy frequency flows that are flowing through, within and through all of us. And one of the kind of overlay pictures that came was this, so many thousands upon thousands upon thousands of voices, looking at what they want or wish or hope or would love to create, or lots of different phrasing that way, reading the waters. And although a myriad of different shades and different textures and different languaging to it, a common refrain from so many beings on the planet is that never-ending precursor of, something that's always, that is perceived to, that we perceive it as being in front of what we want and cannot yet have or attain or be close to or whatever it is. And then I watched more closely at the birds, and there's some right off camera doing it now, and realized, that one way to describe it is that it's a dance, and it's a feeling of reading the waters and navigating them, more than just a seeing, so more than just describing a limitation or an obstacle or a step I have to this, then that kind of a thing. And it's all truly a matter of what we're perceiving, what we're putting out there. It's almost like we're putting on different pairs of glasses to read the waters differently. Some of it's past experience, some of it's ingrained habit, some of it's programming, some of it's all those things, and too narrow an aperture to let enough light in to see that the water current and the way that it's manipulating the water itself and then the air currents and everything else around it is different than that. Is broader than that, is more flow to that. So if that's the case, and in the 55 years that I've been hanging around in this embodiment, I've proven to myself over and over and over and over and over again that's absolutely the case. And when I change that, when I go, oh yeah, I forgot that part, I gotta put that back into what it is that I want to do or create or accomplish or manifest or materialize, I might say it in different ways depending on what I'm focusing on. When I put that ingredient back in, it clears up the image. It even in a very complex section of water, I'm going to keep using that metaphor, that I'm navigating and reading those waters, it gives me, allows me, facilitates me to have a much wider range of telepathy. That's an interesting slip. Telemetry is what I was going to say, but telepathy as well. Telemetry and navigational components. And the other thing that in this whole kind of thought experience, being, playing with what was right in front of me and pulling out the metaphor and then nudge to do a rambling with it, is that where the waters are a bit more perceived to be chaotic and tumbly and um, tumultuous, and I realize for myself as I navigate them and move through things that part of that is, the whole laundry list, yes, the deep state, the cabal, the Illuminati, the end of one era and the beginning of a new, and, the list is long. But one is that we're having a sea change between all is not as it seems. So all of the things that were hidden in plain sight and all of the inverted, all of the things, well, all the structures, all the systems that are inverted. So we're told and have them held and taught, programmed that they're one thing, and they're actually inverted and not that at all. So the flow of all is not as it seems, and so that river, that flow of water is through, and we experience it, we live in it. But we're at the confluence, like this river a little ways, 20 miles down, 20 miles west of here, has a convergence, and the North and the South Fork flow together and become one river again. So the confluence that we're right in the middle of, right in, if you've ever watched two bodies of water come together, there's, overlapping, underlapping, seems to be kind of like a roiling mass, and then it's smooth here and smooth there, so it's a combination of all those things, and that's right where we are, is that confluence of all is not what it seems, which is the old leaving, breaking down, tearing down, crumbling down, dematerializing. And the new is what you see, when you allow yourself to see, is all that it seems. And now that you're looking, watching, engaging, connecting with, different ways to say that, it's revealing more and more to you, and it's always been there. And so on one level that may be a little bit layered, or perhaps, I guess, to some a little bit confusing, but in this whole play that I was doing by our walk in the river and watching it, and the birds were helping me with this, it became very clear that if we can play with that idea, that we can more easily, more readily see the flow of river is not all, that we're labeling, that is the actual energy frequencies of, and then the manifestation of, all is not what it seems, so the inverted matrix of what we think of as reality, and the new flow of river, which is expansion, which is a much wider aperture, which is what's true. So the expansion is the more consciousness, the totality of what is true flowing through. And as we can, I guess, notice those as two distinct flows, then we can actually see we can see one would be one color, however you want to hold it, and another, and we can see as they intertwine, and it's much easier to pick them out, even when they're like this. So you can see that this is, the expansive flow river, and the conscious illuminated river, and where we are all transferring, ascending, metamorphosizing through. And then this is the old inverted. So Someone just said, well, what does that do for you? Well, it makes things a lot less confusing. It makes things within ourselves, as we're wanting to figure something out or navigate something that, we're ready for in our life. We want to materialize in our life. We want to, or if we're looking at the, are we there yet? Picture, it gives us more physical, tangible, demonstrable tools. It gives us more sensory tools. It gives us more navigational tools. It gives us a touchstone, I would say, a confidence, a reminder that, in this part, the all is not as it seems, those, and the inverted energetic frequencies where there is that doubt and worry that creeps into you, that, that some voice that's in your head that's nattering away, oh, you can't have that, oh, you got to be realistic, oh, whatever it is that comes up. It clearly shows us those two streams. And so then as we watch them, we can keep carrying on the thread of the one that we want, which is love, which is consciousness, which is expansion. And so we can follow it even though as it dovetails around and through the old stream that's there, that we thought was the only thing that was, or which we thought was the only way that it could be, because that's the way we've taught, and that is hiding this stream, which is the expansive stream, back and forth. But when we can see those two, then we know, just like the sun hiding behind a cloud, we know that it's always there, and we can keep following it. So if a thread of doubt, which would be my finger here, comes up, it's not blocking or negating it. We just pass right on by it. So it's a metaphor and a tangible thing that you can go to a body of water and watch, it occur. But it helps us to get out of the feeling of jumble, of the chaoticness that's unfolding. And I would say it's a tool to help us, in those flashes of moments where we forget for a moment, where we get unsettled or we get knocked off stride or off flow, where our flow is, where that expanded energy frequency flow is, where that current that is our true connection of currency to source, where it is, and we can more easily not only follow it but flow with it, and not only flow with it but ride it, and not only ride it but really engage with it and mold it and allow us to come into coherence with it. And now we're surfing, now we're rolling through, now we can look at rocks or curves in the riverbed, or trees that are down or whatever it is, and we can go around them, we can surf over them, we can do all sorts of things. Now it allows us, this is not the right word, but one may say flowing in the linear, it allows us to be in control of, it allows us to get off of autopilot and really to flow. And in the coherence that we come into with that river of energy, frequency, expansion, and higher and higher consciousness levels, we lose that separation. We are the river of love. We are that expanded frequency. We are that conscious knowing of source. And now it's a ride, and we are engaged with it and really propelling it forward in a way that changes how we can read the waters, how we manifest what we want to manifest. And one last thing that I wanted to kind of bring forth is now more than ever the metaphor and the using metaphor as a descriptor, using metaphor as a way to help us navigate things, using metaphor as our tool for creating what we want, for finally, putting that aside and moving to this, or allowing this, or creating this, is the most tangible, touchable, specific, realistic, strong tool that we can have, which seems totally counterintuitive. But nonetheless, it's the case, because as we blend from, those two perceptions, those two flows of frequency, and can see them, we realize that things are not quite as perceived solid as we always thought they were, and so that the more ethereal, less rigid, less linear, most important, thinking of the metaphor allows us to engage all of our multidimensional brain and all of our multidimensional senses and all of our multidimensional capabilities that one could say we never knew we had before, or we kind of thought we had them and knew we had them but we didn't use them, or they're very rusty. So there's lots of ways depending on where you are in your journey. So play with it, because I know that if you give yourself the chance to just play, and you're the one who will set how you play it, how you do that, and let Gaia, let nature, let the energetic frequencies around you guide you in that, wherever you are when you do it. And you'll discover new, wider apertures, new perspectives, new perceptions. And it will help you in reading all of the waters that you're having to flow through and navigate, from the most intimate and personal to you, just you as a singularity, to the greater reading of the waters at large, and what's flowing and crumbling down, and the new stuff flowing in. It really is, I spent 20 minutes doing it, and it was fascinating. The awarenesses, oh, that's what that was. Oh, I see that now. Or something that I was working on for myself. Oh, yeah, now I got it. And all of those were very tangible, I guess you could say, linear things. And it's given me a whole new perception, understanding, connection with, solutions, resolutions, ahas, and perspectives on all of it in demonstrable, tangible, hey, I fixed that, I solved that, I created that ways. I love you.